here to bring memory to the past, a time of residential school, and in honor of 3 elders that we've just lost, that they're important members of our family, of our community. Sharon Jo Cragen, she was a matriarch of her family. She just passed last week. She didn't make the apology from the government. Didn't live to see that. Also, we want to remember Benny Paul. He also passed before he got his apology from the federal government of Canada. And Lawrence Jackson, he also passed away. They all passed away in a matter of months, and this is dedicated to them today. So I'll be doing Total Shina, and it's walking on the right path. Total Shina. O Chinawel Misman de Kwatan Saflam.
O Heavenly Creator,
Eish Malmala.
we are lost.
Pranam Tutnemo. Tots Air Twema Tuekwa.
Help us, your children.
I am at the mile with Rilatsot.
Help us find the way.
Pranam Tomo at Tutsotso.
All our relations.
Ruth Miskiaya. All our relations.
I'd like to mention all these children that are being dug up across Canada. It seems like people are starting to forget about the children already, and that really disturbs me because this was brought on by the federal government. And so we had a residential school here for years, and it ruined our whole nation. Our people suffered really hard from this. And this 7th waves, it's still going. We're still suffering. It's time to understand that everything's not about fighting. It's about, let's love each other once. Okay? And let's get along. Please. Thank you. It's important for us to put a new blanket on the statue because this grandmother held on to her grandchild when he didn't want to go to school. He was dragging on her arms because he didn't want to go to school, because he knew what he had to put up with that day, like all of us did. We were numbers. We were just picked every time by the priests and nuns on who they wanted to abuse for the day. And so this statue is here for that remembrance, because we didn't want to go to school. We had to come to school, but we didn't want to come. We never got an education. That's the only thing that we got an education in was abuse. Think about that when you think about elders. I'd love to see all our elders walk down Chat Lake with a cape and gown on and say, you graduated. That's what I'd like to see, because we deserve it. We lost out on a lot of things, and we're all just numbers to the people and the police. Thank you.
And for the children of the future, the next generations that are growing up, this is why we need to heal. We need to heal so that they can take their place in society today, that they can achieve anything they want to be. All the possibilities are there for them. And so our healing is gonna heal them. They don't have to grow up feeling the pain, the intergenerational pain that we felt. We have 4 generations of ancestors that went to this residential school, and that started with our great-grandfather Basil Joe, our grandfather Clarence, my dad William, and then us. and then they say 7 generations it's going to be done. But in that time, we need to do some work. We need to do some healing. So I'm reaching out to everybody that's able to begin to think about what we need to do to heal in this time, and what can we bring forward that'll help the young ones. We are looking good in school now because we have 95% graduation rate, and we're very proud of that. Olnom Chala. Itiquail, Anchalant and Squish, Alach Atlach. Good afternoon, my name is Angeline, and I come from Sechelt. I attended residential school at the age of 5 because my birthday was in December. And so I remember the first days going, we were always hungry when we were going to school because it was a bad time for our people. This is my sister Alish, Audrey, Titalos, and I remember when she came to school, I felt very protective of her.
Titsailomak, Titalos, Allah Tsonaichen, Allah Saikaz, Allah Chatlech. My English name is Audrey Jill. I went to school in the residential school at the age of 5 in 1957. My very first day of walking into school on this very ground, there was a little school here. I was really happy to come to school because, I never knew what was going on here.
Evo Shim Squish, Shishaft from Stotola, Kalpalin from Stotola, Eating Polywan the Quail, the Lozut the Quail. I'm here to speak about reconciliation and how, as a survivor of the residential school, I first entered this school in 1952 with my dearly departed sister who just passed away a week ago. I was 7 years old and my sister was 5 years old when we were taken. And when they took my sister from me, I never seen her for months later.
When we were walking to school, I would tell her, don't look at me, don't look at me, don't run up to me when you see me in the lineup. Or they would take both of us and beat us right there in front of everybody, which they did, which Audrey sometimes forgot. She would run up to me because she was so afraid, and she'd want comfort. And I couldn't give it her. It was, as the older sister, I couldn't give it. I had to stand straight, or else we got it more. We got more beating, and we were told not to cry. So, as you can imagine, our pain level when we're in pain is already at a 10 before we'll say anything.
We experienced many atrocities. We witnessed many atrocities to many children. And what had happened to us, what we never realized, was our identity was being taken, our childhood was being stolen.
And every day somebody would be picked, and every day you'd hope, I hope it's not me. I hope it's not my sister. And they would be put in front of the class, and we'd have to watch it. It was like torturing us too, to watch. It broke us. And still today we feel that brokenness of not showing love freely, not having the compassion that we need to have for each other, that we were now separated and divided.
There is this one day when like my sister Valerie says, you got picked by a priest. And one day they came in and they said, Audrey, you're wanted at the rectory. So I got up and everybody was staring at me because we could not talk. Our eyes were the talkers. And they're like, oh, you know. And I got scared. I wanted to run down the hill and go and see my grandpa. But I walked into the rectory and the priest in there, the Father Superior, was behind his desk in his robe. And he says, did I tell you to sit down? And I looked at him and I said, no. And he says, stand up. So I stood up. And then he says, put your hands together. So I put my hands together. And he says, you're one of Clarence Joe's grandchildren. I said, yeah. And I never thought anything about it. So he grabs me from behind my neck, throws me on the table, pulls my panties down, and rapes me anally. And that was like the first week of school. And then I cried so much, he knocked me out. I got knocked out on the floor. And I was more ashamed about this than anything, because if a child goes to school and gets beaten and raped in the first week of school, that was welcome to hell for me. I woke up and the nun was dragging me out the front door, and she was telling me to wake up, you dirty Indian, look what you did. And my mom bought us brand new white panties for school, and my panties were all bloody. I was so ashamed.
Those memories will live on, and those are the kind of things that our people have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and how we are going to heal ourselves, how we're going to recapture the lives that were taken from us. We will never again recapture our childhood. Those are lost, those are gone. And to continue that, after I spent 7 years here, they sent me to another residential school in Mission City, St. Mary's Residential School, where I spent 2 years. And that was around 1960 to about 1962. And what I had discovered there was that what I had left at St. Augustine School was transferred to St. Mary's School in Mission City, where a lot of the nuns and a lot of the brothers and priests were transferred to that school. When I thought I was going to escape what I was encountering here, I soon learned when I got to St. Mary's that I had to contend with the same people that I thought I was escaping. So for me, there was no escape. So I had to learn how to deal with those issues. As I was approaching my teens, I was 13, 14, and 15 by then years old, and I had to learn how to deal with those issues, how I could escape those things. But in all my life, I never found a way that I could escape that. There was no one I could go to. There was no one that I could express my troubles to. There was no one that would hold me and share my tears. I could scream, I could cry, and no one was listening. Those are the things, emotional things, the psychological things that we pass on to our children and our grandchildren. And it's going to take many, many generations to overcome the atrocities that happen to our people.
These are the stories that many people cannot face. They can't tell these stories because of all the emotion, and it ruled our life, all of our lives, these stories. And we all have depression and anxiety. We live with it. I have PTSD, so does my sister. I've been diagnosed with it. So, and that's why when we look at our grandchildren and her great-grandchildren, that's what we want to change for. That's why we want to get healthy. We want to get healthy for them. And we need all the help we can get.
I'm 76 years old now, and I've never received much compensation or healing from the governments who suppressed us and put us into these kind of realms where they appointed the missionaries to take away our language, our identity, and the way of life.
Having the government promises everything, but never. Right now we're in a class action lawsuit, and that hasn't been resolved yet because
We're still fighting Trudeau.
we're still fighting the government today, and we never got that apology from them that was given in what year? 2007, I believe, and we never got our apology. They left us out because they said we're day scholars, but we stayed at school every day and got the same treatment as everybody else did.
The teaching that from my grandfather was to maintain who I was, to maintain the integrity that I carried, the pride that I carried being a hereditary chief. Those are the elements that helped me through this atrocity. Those are the things that gave me strength to not be overwhelmed with what was happening to my life. And later on in my life, I did become a chief, and I became a leader of the Seychelles Nation for many, many years. And I still struggle, and I still struggle for justice today. And I'm hoping that we're not just getting lip service with the reconciliation was that they brought upon us in 2007. And when they made the announcement in 2009, I've never seen their government step up to their promise to reconcile with the Indigenous people of Canada. And now with the public's more aware of what reconciliation is, those people in the community got to step up to help us to push and press the government for a true reconciliation, for a real healing, for a real medical help, for a real mental help, for a real education. And I wish that for my younger people so that they may become balanced and healthy. I wish it for my people so that they can thrive and become integral in the community once again, so that my children and my grandchildren could walk with their heads held high, proud to be who they are, proud to speak the language, proud to sing and drum the songs. And that's my wish. Onam Shalom.
Survivors again, sharing our medicine with you. Onam Shala.
Baptiste there, Frankie, Charlie Timothy, Sammy Piel, Evan Van. All these three are from Lillooet. This guy was from the West Coast, Doug John. Richard Harry was from Church House. Slyman. This guy, Pierre, he was from Lillooet. And he was from Saanich. Those two. Gary Jenny. Auntie Donna. That's Stanley Frank. Tony's dad.
Good afternoon. It was Warren Paul here on behalf of the Sechelt Council. Welcome to the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, the day known as Orange Shirt Day. This day is a day of reflection and remembrance, and to hold up our elders and survivors of Indian residential schools and all the people who were affected by them. We are pleased that Canada has officially recognized this day of mourning, and that many non-Indigenous Canadians will join us in recognizing the tragic history of the residential schools and the effects it had on Indigenous peoples across Canada for all the generations that those residential schools have existed. Orange Shirt Day stems from a personal experience from Phyllis Webstad, whose orange shirt was taken away. The orange shirt now symbolizes the resiliency of everyone who has been impacted and is still being impacted from the stigma of residential schools. To quote Terry Bellegarde, or Perry Bellegarde, truth comes before reconciliation. You have to speak your truth before reconciliation can truly begin. And I look forward to sharing that truth. Many more will speak after this, and they will advise you or inform you or look forward to having this day, and may it be a moment of solace for all. Thank you.
This is my mother right here in residential school. She was 5 when she started. She was living up in Sonai, and then she's forced to come down here to go to residential school. Chala, for listening to me. You know, this is a very important day for all nations all across Canada, not just Sechelt. You know, this happened all across Canada, all across the United States. We have to really think about these people that survived. You know, my mom survived, my father survived. There's so many that survived. You know, if they didn't survive in residential school, we wouldn't even be here today. That shows their resilience, their strength, their love on the inside, you know. So I really want to put my hands up to those people who will wear orange on September 30th, you know, to show your respect to all First Nations all across Canada. Ono Chala, Misiaya.
Eight Quilt Misiaya, Stinux Chin Squish, Ala Tsonai, Ala Saikas Chin, Stutula Tamayuk, A Masukse Ala Quile. Good day, everybody. My ancestral name is Stinux. I come from the unceded territory of the Tsonai people and also from the Saikas Nation. And I come from the Mayuk clan, the Grizzly Bear clan. Good to see you all here today. Today, here to talk about the Truth and Reconciliation Day on September 30th and why it's so very important to recognize this day, Orange Shirt Day. It is a day to remember our survivors and for the many horrific things that they went through in school. Today I teach language, our Shishathlam, in our schools, and I remind our students and our loved ones every day why we have language class, and it's because of what our survivors have been through. They are resilient people, our survivors, and we remember them every single day. Orange Shirt Day is every day to us. So today, especially on September 30th, we honor you, survivors. Olnam Shchalak Ukmasiyaya.
Itaquile, Ukmasiaya, Kwa Emenchin Squish, Ala Chatlage, Ala Tonaish, Haquachin Tlal, Tim Slaklak Menot, Haquachin to Ukmasiaya, a residential school. Thinking of our dear relatives and our dear elders that went to residential school, we were standing on the ground where the residential school used to be. I just really want to honor the survivors of not only the Shishak residential school, but all. Orange Shirt Day is a very important day for all nations. I always say to our students that if there was no residential school, we wouldn't have a language class, because we'd all still be fluent. It was because of residential school that language, culture, and identity was taken away. So bringing back that healing to our people, however they choose to, with counseling and any way that they want to heal themselves as Skullmouth people. Honoring you all today on this Orange Shirt Day, our survivors, and yes, just carrying on in a good way and respecting and loving one another as Sisha and Skullmouth people. All noticed.